Hi viewers, we are happy to come back today on the second episode of the series we started last week on Tenant and Landlord. In the first episode, we taught you about tenancy agreement. We taught you what tenancy agreement is, why you need tenancy agreement, and the contents, essential contents that will be contained in tenancy agreement. If you have not seen that video, kindly log into our channel. You will see the video down there and you will learn a lot from that. Today we're here, we want to take you on the series that you understand about the grounds that the grounds that would enable a landlord to recover his premises. Recovery of premises doesn't just happen arbitrarily when you have a tenancy agreement. There will always be a reason and a ground to recover possession from a tenant, and it is these grounds that this episode is dedicated to teach you, so that you will understand when your landlord wants to recover a premises from you, whether or not there is a ground for such. I remain Ishaku Joseph Shirmai, your favorite lawyer. Do well to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification button, like, drop your comments, we'll keep answering you. Remember, in the first episode we told you that this series is in response to comments and questions that were already asked by some people. Do well to drop your comments, we will always respond to you, either directly from the comment section or we do a video like this to respond to you. Now, a landlord desiring to recover possession of his premise from the tenant will have to satisfy some grounds before he or she will be able to recover the possession from you. So as a tenant, we want you to understand, even as a landlord as well, to understand the grounds that will warrant recovery of premises from a tenant. Now, number one is breach of agreement and covenants contained in the tenancy agreement. Remember, we told you in the first episode that the tenancy agreement will include the covenants and responsibilities / duties of both the landlord and the tenant. Now, where there is a fundamental breach on the covenants of the tenants, where there is breach of the terms and conditions of the tenancy agreement, the landlord will have a ground to commence an action to recover possession from you. Now, let us take an example. Usually your tenancy agreement will contain and that subletting will be a violation. Most tenancy agreements forbid subletting. Now, if the landlord in the course of your tenancy gets to know that you are subletting part of the premises without the consent of the landlord, it can be a ground for the landlord to commence an action for the recovery of the premise. Another ground is that the failure to pay your rent, and in some instances you are even owing arrears of rent. Your rent is supposed to expire by 1st April. At the expiration of the rent, you neither vacated the premises nor renew your tenancy agreement. And now we're in the month of June. Your landlord will have a ground to apply to the court to commence action for the recovery of the premises. Another thing is number 3, if you constitute nuisance or the misuse of the premises. Now, if you have constituted yourself to be a nuisance for the neighbors around the property and there are complaints against you, or the misuse of the property, assuming Mr. Aremu rents out his 3-bedroom flat to you as a residential premises and you decide to convert that property into a bar, Mr. Aremu will have a ground to commence an action for the recovery of the premises because of misuse. Now, another ground for a landlord to recover is where, that is ground number 4, is when the landlord wants the property for his personal use. Sometimes you can be in occupation of a property for 3-4 years. You have been paying your rent as at when due and you had no problem with your landlord at all, and then yet the landlord said at the expiration of the current tenancy he wants to use the property himself. Well, you may be surprised, but that is a ground that he can use to recover his premises from you. The landlord can simply say at the expiration of this tenancy, I want to use the property myself, so please, at the end of the tenancy agreement, you can vacate the premises so that I will take over. Ground number 5 is where the property needs repair. It is not uncommon to see that some properties that have stayed over a period of time, they have become dilapidated, or some are beginning to have structural defects, and the landlord feels, I need to have a fresh uplift for the property, we need to do renovation, we need to put this property in place. So where the property may be a 3 or 4 units of flat, it is not uncommon to see that notice is issued to all the tenants that you will not be able to renew your tenancy because the landlord wants to make repair of the property. Now the ground number 6, which is very common and known to all of us, is when your tenancy has expired. Of course, you paid for the property for 1 year, 1st January to 31st December. You don't need a lawyer or a soothsayer to tell you that by 1st January of the next year, your tenancy has expired and you are expected to leave. That is what we call the tenancy has been terminated by a function of time. You have paid for 1 year, the year has lapsed, so what is left is for you to either renew or vacate the premises. If you don't vacate, that becomes a ground for your landlord to recover possession. I'm sure you, the landlord and tenant, you have understood the grounds. One or all of these grounds can be used to approach the court for the recovery of the premises. Thank you for watching this video, and in the next episode we are going to tell you about the notices to be issued. A lot of you are interested, and there is this funny argument all the time about 6 months notice, 3 months and all that. Follow us in the next episode. We will tell you everything you need to know about quit notice, when it will be issued, how long the notice should be, and then you will understand and then put an end to the ignorance and controversy on the issue of notice. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on that video.